Today, Quills and Cliffhangers brings you an excerpt from a classic story by early 20th century journalist Ring Lardner. Symptoms of Being 35 is a collection of the writer's humorous thoughts about reaching this milestone birthday. If he had lived in our century, he would have been a millennial, young enough to still have hopes and dreams, and old enough to have learned a few things about life. In case you're wondering how the author got his unusual first name, he was named after a friend of his family, U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Ringgold. By the time he became a newspaper sports columnist, the writer had shortened his first name to Ring. Symptoms of Being 35 by Ring Lardner. The other night, one of my friends got me on the telephone and wanted me to come over. But the last 3 times I went over there, it cost a lot of money, even when a poker game has a 50-cent limit. I said no, that I was busy working on a book, which I had promised my publisher I would write.
"What's it about?"
he asked. I told him how it feels to be 35.
"That guy must think you have a good memory,"
he said, and hung up on me. Well, friends, 35 is how young I am, no matter how old I look. But I am so used to having smart Alex make wise cracks when I tell them my age that it doesn't have any effect on me now. Only I can't figure why they think I would lie about it. When a man has a wife and 4 little ones, what does he care if he is 35 or double that amount? Besides which, they claim that 35 is about the average of all the grown-ups in the world. If I was above average, would I keep it a secret? Don't be silly. But now in regards to this book, when the publisher asked me to write it up, I said I didn't see how more than a few people would be interested, because there were only a few that are this old. He told me that, as a matter of fact, pretty near everybody in the world that can read is either 35 or a few months, one way or the other, and if I didn't think that was so, to go and look it up in a book. So I looked it up in the encyclopedia, and there was nothing in there like what he said. But I found out a whole lot of other things that were news to me, and maybe the reader doesn't know them either, so I will write them down. It says in the book that figures compiled in Sweden show the death rate amongst bachelors is a lot more than amongst married men, even including murder. So anybody that is up to 73 years old and has a wife is practically death-proof, especially if you are a Swede. But all that is neither here or there. The idea is to tell how it feels to be my age, and I may as well get to it. Well, in the first place, I am speaking for myself only. I don't know how the other 35-year-olds feel about it. Probably most of them don't feel nearly as old as I do. Laughter is supposed to keep a man young, but if it's forced laughter, it works the opposite. When a guy named Ring is expected to split his sides whenever somebody asks if his middle name is Worm, which is an average of 365 times per year, over a period of 35 years, it can't help from telling on you. It also doesn't lighten the weight of the years to have to snicker every time they say,
"Hey Ring, give me a ring."
or,
"Ring, why aren't you a ringmaster in a circus?"
I suppose that, on the morning of their 21st birthday, Americans wake up full of excitement and say to themselves, now I am of age and can vote in everything. And when they come to what I call the 35th milestone, they are even more smoked up with the thought that now they are old enough to be president. At the present writing, I am so used to being 35 that I don't know if it feels any different from 34 or 33. But I can at least state that being 35 doesn't feel anything like being under 30. For instance, when the telephone rings nowadays, I am scared to death that it's somebody asking us to go somewhere for dinner. 6 years ago, I was afraid it wasn't. At 29, home was a place to go when all the other joints were closed. At 35, it's a place you never leave without a loud squawk. At 35, you spell home with a big H. It's where you can take off your shoes. It's where you can have more soup. It's where you don't have to say anything when there's nothing to say. It's where they don't wait till the meal is all over and then give you an eyedropper of coffee. It's where you don't have to listen. It's where they don't smear everything with cheese sauce. It's where you can pan everybody without it going any further. It's where they know you like donuts and what you think about a banana. Well, it was 5 or 6 years ago when I realized that I was past my prime. It came to me all of a sudden that the only compliment I had for a long while was, "What a pretty necktie you have." Nothing about my natural charms anymore. It was an egg's age since anybody had called me to one side and whispered,
"Gertie thinks your ears are immense."
I guess maybe it hurt at first, but it's like falling hair or the telephone service or anything else. When you have lived with it a while, you don't mind. Like, for instance, a few weeks back, I was up in Boston, where I have a young and beautiful sister-in-law. When it came time to part from her and her husband, she kissed me 6 times, which was supposed to be once for me, and once apiece for the missus, and our little ones. Well, I thought it was pretty nice, until I looked at her husband, to see how he took it. He took it without batting an eye. To him, it was as if she was kissing an old cab horse, on a bet for the benefit of the Red Cross. And when I had left, and they were alone together, he probably said, "Janie, you're a good game gal," and she gave him a kiss that meant something. As for the general symptoms of 35 in vicinity, as I have found them, and not speaking for anybody, only myself, the following points may interest science. A typical 35-year-old sits down after breakfast to read the newspaper. The mailman comes and brings him 3 letters. One of them looks like it was a gal's handwriting. He continues to read the newspaper. He buys a magazine in April and reads the first installment of a murder mystery serial. The installment winds up with the servants finding their master's body in bed and his head in the ashtray. Everything points to the young wife. Our typical 35-year-old forgets to buy the May issue. There are other 35-year-olds who renew their youth by going back every year to a class reunion. Well, I don't know if I want to renew my youth or not. Leave bad enough alone is my slogan.